started. All right. So what I'm going to have you do is just go ahead and we're going to start a new file in Illustrator. And what I want you to do is when you get here, you want to go to print. Okay. And then I want you to go to the letter. And then the presets. You want to always name your work with your name in it and our class in it. So you know, and this is for your own file naming convention. So you guys know what you're doing. Couple things. When we're starting to work in digital, I had you all create a OneDrive. So I'd like you to make sure that you're saving your work to your OneDrive. So in your OneDrive folder, for this class that I had you make, in the folder, I want you to add a new folder and call it Project 1. Okay, so if you've not done that yet, before you open and create any new files for this class, for this project, I want you to start with a folder called Project 1. Then once you've saved and created that Project 1 folder, this is going to go in it. This is going to be the first thing in it. And we're going to name it with our name. So we're going to name it, so I'm going to name it, mine is Decker, Amy, 1104. And then we're 02. And then I just like, I put tight, Project 1, sorry, Project 1. And then I would call this Digital Rough 1. Okay. Just going to make it inches. I'm working on an 8.5, 11 sheet of paper, just a regular sheet of paper. And I'm going to say create, or actually I'm going to turn my paper horizontally. I think I just like to, because these are usually more horizontal designs, I kind of like to have more space. Jessica, yep.
So I had made a Project 1 folder in my OneDrive, but I put some of my sketches in there. Do you want me to just keep those there? Or?
Yeah, no. Yeah, everything's going to go in there. Everything, your sketches. Thank you. Yes, good question. What I would do is we're going to make a folder, and we'll go through this with our process book. You create a folder in there that says sketches. Yeah, put all your sketches in it, right? And now this is going to be digital rough. So make a folder called digital roughs, and this file will be going into your digital rough folder. Yes, Taylor. Good.
I'm sorry, what was the width and height again? I missed it.
Oh, you're just doing a letter, 8.5 by 11 letter.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, good questions. So this is your first digital rough. So we just have our regular piece of paper. We're in Illustrator. And window, workspace. This is where I like to go when I start any project. So you come over here and I want you to go all the way down to the typography workspace. So we're in, you want to go to window, workspace, and you want to go to typography. And then it will look like this. Okay. Now, oh, another hand. Yep, Taylor, did you have another question?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't even know I did that.
No worries. I just kind of saw it out of the corner of my eye. Just want to make sure I have everyone visible in case you guys have questions as we go. So then what you want to do is you want to bring in those sketches that you have. So you have, I'm going to go on to Slack. And would anyone mind if I borrow one of your sketches? Let me go in.
You can use mine.
Who said that? Whose voice
Rylan.
was that? Rylan? Okay, great. I will grab one of yours, Rylan. Thank you.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Please go right ahead.
So I know, like, when you're saying workspace, are you talking about like the Essentials or Essentials Classic?
That's exactly it. We're going to typography. So it's window, workspace, typography.
And this is an Illustrator, right?
Right, we're working in Illustrator.
That's not
Yep.
showing up for me for some reason.
Are you on a Mac or
Like
PC?
I go to window and the last thing I have is symbols library. Doesn't even go to W.
Look in the upper left here. Are you in Illustrator next to the, are you in an Apple or a PC? What are you using?
Well, on Zoom I'm on my phone, but I'm on Adobe Illustrator.
I know on what,
my laptop.
on your
Sorry,
laptop. Is your laptop an Apple or a PC?
No, it's a PC.
Okay. When you're in Illustrator, you should see that Illustrator is listed in the menu bar at the top here. Do you see that it says Illustrator? So when you're on your desktop, you're seeing the word Illustrator up here on the top.
Yeah.
And so when you go to window, who are my PC people? Are you guys not seeing the workspace under window?
I see it.
I see it.
Okay, because I was thinking it was the same for PC and Mac. So you're going to window, you're in Illustrator and you're going to window and you're not seeing an option for workspace?
No, it'll show swatches, symbols, variables, version history. And then there's a break and then it says brush libraries. And it only goes as far as symbol libraries. And then usually, because I've used Illustrator before, usually it's like somewhere in the top right corner where you can kind of switch between workspaces.
You can go to the help tab and there's like a search bar. Maybe you can try typing it in there.
That's a great idea. So in the help bar, just say workspace, type in the word workspace. Does that show you your workspace?
No. It
Okay.
kind of got rid of my whole like tools bar up at the top. I'll exit out of Illustrator and I'll try again.
I was going to say, why don't you relaunch Illustrator? I'm not sure what's happening, but it's not normal what you're seeing. So let's have you quit Illustrator all the way and reopen it. I'm going to keep going just so we don't run out of time. But as you're restarting and everything, just take a notepad and just take some notes so you have those with you. Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
No worries. And like I said, if we'll try to figure out what's going on, we can always, again, you can sign up for tutoring. And I put the link for tutoring on our announcements. So if anyone needs tutoring from 3 to 5, Monday through Friday, that is an option for you. Okay, so we're in the typography space. I just took, I'm going to now bring in, so I'm going to go File, Place, and I'm going to place one of my sketches. So I'm going to go on my, for you, you're going to go on your OneDrive, right? You're going to go on your OneDrive and you're going to choose your project one and you're going to, I'm going to use, I put mine on my desktop because I took Ryland's, so I'm going to use his, but you're going to grab one of your sketches out of your sketches folder. And then I'm going to pop it onto my, right here onto my page. So here's one of Ryland's sketches, okay? Now, I'm going to go over here to layers and I'm going to call layer 1 my sketch layer because that's the layer I have my sketch on. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a new layer and call this my art layer. Okay. And then once I've created my art layer, I'm going to go ahead and next to the eyeball, I'm going to hit the lock. Oh, you know what? Let me get I have a cursor app that I can use to help you guys see my cursor. Let me turn that on. Let me turn that on so you guys can see my cursor better. Yeah. Okay, does that help? Then you can see my cursor a little better. So I've locked my sketches layer and I've created an art layer. So now if I'm in my selection tool, which is there's two types of tool, I can't move this at all. Nothing's going to make it move. It's going to just stay right there. Does that make sense? All right. Jessica just mentioned she also embeds the sketches in the file so she doesn't have to worry about missing links. That's a good idea. That's another good point. So if you're in the sketches, when you're selecting it, you can go ahead and make sure that it's embedded. And so right here on the left, it says linked file. I'm using it as a linked file. You can change it to, I think I can change it rather than from here, rather than just keeping it.
It says embed.
There it is. There it is. There it is. Embed. I was like, where is it? So I can just embed it and then it stays with the file as well. That's a very good point. Thank you. Okay. So now I'm going to lock it because I don't want it to move. And I'm going to go on my art layer. Now I'm going to make sure. Now when we're working in layers, it can be confusing. So number one, always name your layers. Don't skip this step. So now I'm going to want to make sure that I've opened up the typefaces that I'm going to be using. So I go up here to my Creative Cloud. I go to the fonts. Rylan, can you tell me on this design which font you were thinking of using? From our font list?
Gotta get to the Creative Cloud.
There we go. So now we had our list, which is on our project brief. And so our project brief tells us that our options are Bodoni. Let's see, look at what you have here. I am looking at, this number one. So it's a sans serif face. So let's look at our sans serif. Are you thinking it's pretty bold? Are you thinking it's Futura, PT Sans, Franklin Gothic, Gill Sans, or Acumen?
What do they look like? I'm not sure. I'm on the Creative Cloud and it's showing me different, like what it looks like on each font.
Okay, well, I'm just going to pick one for you and we'll go with that one. And then you can keep looking for what, which ones you ultimately want to do.
Okay.
Okay. Which ones did I say? Gill Sans Nova. So Gill Sans Nova is which one I'm going to choose.
You could probably use the Futura PT Bold if that's one of them.
Futura is one, but it's really circular and this is more ovalish. So I don't think Futura would match your design very well. I think Gill might be a better choice.
You said
What I'm going to, what'd you say?
You said, I was just asking if you said Gil.
Yeah, Gill, yep. So I'm going to look at Gill Sans Heavy and I'm going to activate that font. Now I could activate all the Gill Sans if I wanted, or I can just activate the one that I think I'm going to use. I'm also going to grab the italic because your C to me looks a little italic. So I'm going to activate the italic and the heavy italic and the regular heavy. So I'm going to activate those two fonts. And then once I'm done, I can just close this. Okay. I'm going to put that back. So now I'm going back into my Illustrator and I'm going to grab my type tool. And I'm going to type out my letters. C, T, L are my
It's
letters.
CLT.
Oh, thank you. All right. So CLT. And I'm going to see at the top is where I'm going to choose my character. So I'm going to change it to Gill Sans. Hold on a minute, Gil's. You know what? Hold. If you want to go larger than 72, you have to just type in the number. So just type it in. So I put 100 because I wanted it big enough. And I want to copy this. So I'm going to go to my selection tool. And if I hold my shift key down and my option and command, I can duplicate it. So that's holding my shift, option and command, or alt and command. And the reason I'm doing that is I want to make one of these the italic. Okay. So I think the C that feels most closely resembling the C I'm seeing here is more the italic. So I'm going to not use this C. And I'm not going to use this, the L and T italic. I'm going to use the italic C and the regular bold L and T. Now, in order for me to manipulate these, to make them morph like he's designed here in the sketch, I need to take and not let them be, right now they're typeface. So you can see the line under them. I can use the type tool and select it and, you know, change the size and things like that, right? But I can't alter the shape of the letter when it's a typeface. So what I need to do is change the typeface into an outline. So I'm going to select my typeface. I'm going to go up to type. I'm in the selection tool. Make sure you're in the direct selection tool. And I'm going to go down here to create outlines. I'm in the type, create outlines, and now I've changed my typeface into an object. So you can see it has all the little points. It's no longer sitting on a baseline. It is no longer affected by the type tool. You see, I can't do anything with the type tool. I'm just making more type boxes. So same thing over here. This is all, this is still a typeface down here. So I'm using the direct selection tool. I've selected this. I'm going to go back up to type, change create outlines. And now you can see this too is outline. Now these two, because they were together on the same line, are stuck together. How do I get them unstuck together? Is I go up to object and ungroup. Now I click off. Now I can click on each one of these separately. Okay, I'm going to pause there for a second. Is everyone with me? Are we all following along?
I am not. So I didn't see how you got I have letters on my screen, but it's not like how you have yours. It's not in like a white box. And then when I'm trying to create outline, it's grayed out. It won't let me.
Are you using, what tool are you using? Are you in the direct select tool, the selection tool, or are you in the type tool?
Okay, I was in direct select.
And
I was in indirect select.
You had the type. So let me do it again. I'm going to do it one more time. So I'm going to just use this here. So I have this lorem,
Mhm.
and it's type. I'm moving it with the, I don't need all of this. Hold on. It's going to be too much if I. Okay. So now I have my type. I'm in the black filled in selection tool, right? Are you with me?
Yep.
And you have it selected. You have to have it selected. So it's highlighted.
That's what it's not.
You have to have it selected. If you don't have it selected, it doesn't know what to do. So yep, so select it. then go up to type, and then you should be able to create an outline.
It's not letting me see it. I don't know if I did something wrong.
Are you on the right layer? If you can't select it, it might not be on the right layer.
Okay, I'm gonna try that again, but you can move ahead, and I'm probably gonna watch this again.
Okay, okay. Make sure, what I want to point out over here on the right is this is my layers. I've locked my sketch layer and I'm on the layer above called art. So if you're not on the right layer, you can't select something. So my guess is that it might be on the wrong layer. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. Any other, well, let me ask one more, any other questions, or are we all still kind of with me here?
I think I didn't understand this, how we decide to use this GIL sans typeface. I'm a little bit confused on that.
Okay, we have, that's a good question. We have this, we can choose from our project brief. We have 12 typefaces we can choose from. So once we've designed our sketches, you're going to go up onto the Adobe typefaces and load in the typefaces that you want, that you feel closely will resemble your design. And you're going to do that by going up here to your Adobe Creative Cloud. Is this the part you're questioning? Like, how do we get to the Adobe fonts?
No, I was just like wondering how we decided that this chosen one.
You're going to,
yeah.
You're going to choose any typeface you want. I'm just using this for my demo. You're going to have that whole list of 12 you can choose from. And when you type in, you can type in your letter form. So for example, you can choose your sample text. So for example, CT, what is it? CLT, right? I'm saying it backwards, aren't I? CLT is the 3 letters that we're working with, okay? So I can type my letters here in the sample text. And then I know I'm looking for specific fonts. So let's say I wanted Bodoni. Okay. So I forget which one I have on the list, but let's say I have this one. So it's Bodoni. I select it. Here's all the Bodonis. Again, where it's a sample text, I put in the text I want, which is CLT. And so then I can also make the type size big so I can really see it. Okay. And then you're going to go through, and just like I'm doing, you're going to look at your design and say, okay, which typeface matches my design closest? Okay. You're making that choice.
I understand.
Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
okay, good. That's a good question though. How do we choose the typeface? This is how I would do it. And I would put my design right here on the screen and I would look at these right next to it to say, okay, what do I want? Okay, perfect. So we're going to go back. I chose GIL because I think GIL matches this design the closest from our choices. Now I'm moving this over. I'm going to change the color of my typefaces so I can see them against the sketch a little better. So I'm going to lay it out here now. I want to change the scale of this. I want to make it bigger. If I just start moving it like this, that's a no-no. That's a type crime. What that is doing is stretching and ruining the design of the face. In order to keep it proportionate, you want to hold your shift key down, grab the corner, and proportionately scale it up. So I'm going to move it to here. I'm holding my shift key down. I'm not stretching or squishing it. This is where a lot of people make a mistake when they are scaling their typefaces. So I'm going to lay that there. I'm going to then grab my next letter and I'm going to bring it over here. I'm going to hold my shift key down again and scale it. There we go. That L almost fits perfectly. I'm also going to bring my T over and line it up in with my sketch. I'm going to hold my shift key down again and zoom it up. Okay, so there's my building blocks I'm going to start with. I'm going to make them, I'm going to grab the eyedropper tool and make everything. I'm going to grab the selection tool, select my L, grab the eyedropper, make everything red just so I can see it. We're ultimately going to be working in black and white, but just for my demo purposes, I want you to be able to really see this. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Maybe that's a little too much. Okay, so now these are, I haven't manipulated anything. I just changed the scale of them and they're all right here. So now when I'm at this stage in the game, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some copies before I do any manipulation. So I'm going to make a box with my selection tool and grab all 3 type letters. And I'm going to do Command C or Alt C if you're on a PC, and then Command V or Alt to make a copy of it. I'm duplicating it. And I'm just going to put it over here on the side so that if I make a mistake, I have the original to go back to. I'm just going to make a copy and put it over there. So now I'm going to come back to my area here, then I'm going to look at my design here. Okay, so now I have my 3 letters, but you can see I need to manipulate these letters to work with my sketch. If I need to see my sketch more, we can make these letters transparent. I'm selecting all 3, holding my shift key down, which allows me to select all 3. And then I can go to opacity up here in the window. You can take and make this 50% opacity. So I can now see through to my sketch. So now I can see what I was doing. Okay. Now, obviously a sketch isn't going to be exactly like the letter form. So we're going to make some design choices when we move into digital. So Rylan might make some choices to say, do I want my C to be that narrow? I might want to keep this wider curve, but how do I select and make the C and the T connect gracefully? Like, what can I do? Well, there's 2 kinds of selection tools. There's the direct selection, which is the black arrow, and that selects the entire object, the entire C. Then there's the white selection tool. Or I'm sorry, I'm saying it backwards. This is the object selection tool. The white selection tool is called the direct selection, where you now see that I have all of these little points available to me. So I can think about manipulating by grabbing one point and moving just one piece, one part of it. Do you see how I'm doing that? Not the whole C isn't moving, just this one point is. And I can do that, you know, anywhere along the way. So what I might be playing with is pulling this down to my T, and then there's a bezanine curve. I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm talking about. So these little handles that come on the edge of the pen tool allow us to adjust the curves in the letter form, in the lines that we draw. And the way I move this handle changes the curve of the line. And you can see there's another handle up here too. But be aware, when you grab a handle that's in the middle like this one, it has 2 sides. So if I start adjusting this, I might be affecting this part of the curve, and I don't want to do that. So for this situation, I just want to grab this handle and try to smooth out the curve between this point and this point where I connect it to the T. I then might take this and move it, decide, do I want to move it up or do I leave it here? And do I have it be just connecting to the T at this point? I don't know. I might kind of adjust, kind of think about where do I want these 2 letters to intersect and how do I want them to intersect? And then I might want to say, I want to make this T come as far as my sketch had it. So this time I can grab in the middle of the line. I'm going to hold my shift key down because that'll keep my line straight. And I'm going to pull it out all the way to the edge of my sketch. I'm gonna pause for just a minute. Is everyone following me? How we're moving with just using the direct selection tool, and we're just grabbing specific points or lines to move and adjust. Okay. Then next, I have this big point here where I want to pull it in. So I'm going to just grab this down and pull it down. But obviously you can see I got to adjust this handle, the Bezier curve. And he has it going straight. So I'm going to try, just going straight. And then he has this not kind of curving up so much in the sketch. So I might say, okay, let's see, what if we take and have this go a little bit more squared into the L. And then I'm like, oh, I don't need this extra point. Well, you can go and delete points. And the way you do that is you click on the pen tool and you can hold it down. And when you get the pen tool, where are the negative? Maybe I just have to hit. When I get here, you see how I'm going to zoom in so you can really see that. So I have the pen tool. And when I come over to this point, you see how there's a little minus symbol that's right next to it. It's allowing me to remove it. Now, if I float my cursor with the pen tool over a line, there's a plus symbol. If I click now, it's going to add a point. If I click again, it's going to remove a point. That makes sense? And so lastly, let's say I want this to be a sharp corner. This little symbol that looks like a V upside down, I'm going to select it. And this makes corners. So it gets rid of those Bezier handles and makes a sharp corner. And so that turns that into a corner. So I'm going to go back to the direct selection tool, adjust this edge. I'm going to adjust all of these curves to follow the lines of the sketch. Okay. So now we're almost out of time. So I want to kind of show you, we're going to wrap this up and kind of give you where we're at. So you can see this is how I'm interpreting the sketch. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm making quite a different change with the C. That's okay, because I'm working with the actual typeface now. So I want to do some things that are more consistent with the typeface. So now I'm going to select each letter. I'm holding my shift key down so I can select all 3 letters. I'm going to bring them back up to a full opacity. And you can see there's 3 separate letters. So the last step, once I have everything the way I want it, is I'm going to merge these 3 letters into one. And I'm going to use what we call Pathfinder to do that. So I'm going to go up to Window, and I'm going to open up my Pathfinder menu, and that's what this is. And you can see there's different shape modes and different pathfinders. We are going to go to this first one, which is Unite, and we're going to unite all 3 of these. So now I've just made this all into one object. So when I go to my selection tool, it's going to move around as one object. So now when it's one object, I can still edit it. I can go back to the direct selection tool and say, okay, maybe I'm going to say, let's make a duplicate. So right here's where I might say, okay, now I'm going to make a duplicate. Command C, Command V. So there's my duplicate. Now I'm going to go into this one and make some more edits. So every time I get to a certain spot, I want to pause, make a copy of it, and make another edit. So my next edit for me for this design would be, okay, that's the one design. Now let's do one that maybe I bring the T over as far as I had it in my sketch. So then I come over here to the direct selection tool and say, what would it look like? I'm holding my shift key down and I'm pulling my crossbar of my T all the way over. I'm then going to go to my pen tool and get rid of these extra points that I don't need. And then I'm going to go ahead to my direct selection tool and move the Bezier handle to see what does it look like if I do that. And then I think, oh, what if should I pull this in? Okay, and so you can keep making edits. And so now that's another variation. So here's one variation, here's another. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my sketch. I don't need my sketch anymore. And so I can have, version 1, version 2, and then I can take this one, make another copy, and then do something to the next one. Here's still my original letters before they've been, manipulated in any way. So I can always reference back to these. Because I might say, oh, what would it look like on maybe this next version if I pull, the C back up or something, and I can keep playing. All right, I'm going to pause there. I'm going to stop. Recording.